The president has been very active this week, reacting quickly to that shooting and then working with federal agencies to direct new immigration measures. We heard him speak about his issues about past vetting measures of migrants during the Biden administration. Take a listen.
There was no vetting or anything. They came in unvetted. And we have a lot of others in this country. We're going to get them out. But they go cuckoo. Something happens to them.
And the president directed his administration to immediately pause issuing visas to anyone traveling on an Afghan passport, as well as stop processing all immigration requests from Afghan nationals. Now, the directives go beyond the country. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services announced all asylum decisions will be put on hold until every person is vetted and screened. Now, a member of the Senate and Armed Services Committee is defending this increased vetting of those from Afghanistan.
We even have reports where people are traveling back to Afghanistan and coming back to the United States. If they leave and they're able to enter into Afghanistan, which is a Taliban-held country at this point, and able to get back out on their own, they're probably compromised.
And Kevin, in other news, President Trump posted on Truth Social that any executive order or document signed by President Joe Biden with an auto pen is no longer effective. So he does remain pretty busy between rounds of golf and spending time with his family here in Palm Beach.
I'll say, and that is par for the course for this president. Danamarie, thank you so much. I am pleased to be joined now by former acting ICE Director and former federal prosecutor and friend of the program, Jonathan Fahey. Let me ask you first, before we dive into the whole immigration-migration thing, I just want just a tiny bit of clarification on the auto pen circumstance. The White House feels very strongly that this is something that's specifically carved out for the president himself to execute. And in this case, it looks an awful lot like there are staffers doing it and other people inside the administration. That would seem to make these auto pen executive orders and commutations null and void. Do I have that right?
Well, I think, yeah, the real issue is, did Joe Biden know these were being signed, and did he authorize people to sign them? Because you can delegate that, but I think that's a really good question. And think about this. If Joe Biden were to change his will in the last couple of years, and God forbid he passes away down the road, do you think the family members that got cut out of that will wouldn't be complaining, saying this guy didn't have any idea what was going on? And of course they would. So this is certainly a legitimate thing to look into, and the fact when you combine that with his overall, at least, appearance of cognitive issues at the end of his presidency, it's certainly a legitimate issue.
And we're talking about thousands, Jonathan. On top of that, we do know that there were staff members who said, yes, I did act on behalf of the president, but we don't have any proof for that. I mean, was there an email trail? Did he say specifically? And again, if he's interviewed and he is not forthright and honest about what happened, he could find himself in legal jeopardy, could he not?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, and I think they really should keep digging into this. I'd love to hear Joe Biden interviewed and say, tell us about these pardons. Why did you issue this one or that one? And see if he has really any recollection of doing these pardons, because you can't just simply delegate to a staff member, say, sign anything you want. You could say, I agree with this and it's okay to sign on my behalf, but that's the real distinction here, and I would be very surprised if he really was informed and had consent to having all of these pardons that were entered into at the very, very end.
Yeah, it's going to make for a very interesting legal battle perhaps down the road. I want to obviously talk about the D.C. shooting. Laura Burns, I thought, laid this out fairly clearly. This vetting, people keep talking about, well, he was vetted. This person was vetted, that person was vetted. You have to understand, Jonathan, vetting is one day. Who knows what happened days later? Listen to the sound, get your reaction on the other side.
But the ability to vet individuals in that chaotic environment was extremely difficult because of the naming conventions that were in Afghanistan. Some individuals used first name only. There were lacks of date of birth. There were lacks of identification documents. And so when you're talking about thousands of people fleeing violence and flooding onto planes, we weren't prepared.
Yeah, we weren't prepared. And look at the picture. People crammed on an aircraft. Who knows who these people are?
Exactly. And this idea that you could have even vetted them in any meaningful way, they're simply just running people through databases. And it's not like you're going to get the all clear from the Taliban to say this person's perfectly safe. So it's really just almost a perfunctory performance to even pretend to vet people. But they didn't take it that next level, which is interviewing and deeper dives that you might be able to weed out some dangerous people. But remember, this is really part of the overall Biden pattern. It wasn't just limited to Afghanistan. We had probably 10 million people cross our southern border, admitted to this country, and nobody knows who they were either. So it's just really part of this practice where they put public safety behind this political interest of mass migration. But if you look at the total number of people that came over from Afghanistan, I think it's somewhere about 190,000. So, you know, a small to mid-sized city, and we don't really know who these people are. And it really is, you know, quite concerning, because initially we were told we're bringing out the people that helped us, the translators and people like that. Well, were there really 190,000 people that helped us in a meaningful way? And it certainly begs the question, if that was the case, how was the Taliban easy to overrun the country so quickly? So there's so many unanswered questions, but the main thing is there's a major dereliction of duty by the Biden administration that puts all of us at risk, not just the National Guard members, but all of us at risk going forward, because we don't know who else is in this country.
Yeah, we don't know. And obviously that process now, not just sort of hitting the pause button on migration, but also making sure that we have interviews and we are continuing to sort of unpack exactly the extent of who's in this country, where they are, and we need to make contact moving forward. The president saying as much in his proclamation over the weekend. Jonathan Fahey, great to see you, my friend. Thank you as always. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.